Hello, my name is Barbara Clarice, and welcome to another episode of Views from Bridge. Today, I am super excited because we have a great treat for you. I mean, if you think of the ice cream in front of you with the whipped cream, with maybe some caramel sauce and some even hot fudge and that cherry on top, what am I talking about? Well, today I have the privilege of speaking with the Ben Slayton. So for those of you who do not know, Mr. Ben Slayton is a 55-year veteran of the mortgage industry who has built several mortgage and mortgage-related companies and sold them to publicly traded companies. Today, Mr. Slayton is the president and CEO of Legacy Home Loans, a mortgage banking firm whose mission is to increase the home ownership of Black Americans. Mr. Slayton was also the first Black Realtor in America in 1964, the first Black owner-broker of a Century 21 franchise in 1968, the first of any race to be approved as a Freddie Mac multifamily program plus seller servicer in the US in 1986, and he's a member of the Panorama Mortgage Group LLC Board of Directors, which oversees 6 different mortgage brands. Wow, 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 wow. Mr. Ben Slayton, it is a pleasure, it is a privilege to have you here with us today. Welcome, welcome, and thank you so much. We know you have a very busy schedule, so we are very appreciative of this time with you. So thank you again.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and it's a pleasure being here with you. Hopefully I will be able to give you some information that might be useful for the entire group.
Absolutely. So we're going to get right into it. Mr. Slayton, we all have that real estate story, right? As realtors, we all have that story as to that thing that pushed us towards this industry. Can you share with us your story?
Sure. Well, I became a realtor in 1964 with a few hiccups. And one of them was that because I look the way I look, I could not go to the Board of Realtors and ask for an application because I am Black. In 1964, the Board of Realtors and NAR operated as if it was a country club. The members of NAR had to sponsor a new member, and it was an application that they had to fill out to say, yes, this is a good old boy. We sponsor him, and he's going to be good for the realtors. However, in 1964 was in the middle of the civil rights movement, and no white person, and I'll say white male because it was a predominantly male society, no white male was going to sponsor a young 21-year-old Black person to become a realtor. However, I was fortunate enough where I was adopted, not legally, but I was adopted by a Jewish family and was raised as a Jew. And they wanted me to be successful. So they found a person that would sponsor me. And in doing so, he knew and accepted the fact that he would become a N-word lover, and that he would also be ostracized by his fellow realtors. And in 1964, he decided that he would sponsor me, and he did. That's how I became the first Black realtor in America. True as it was, he was ostracized by his fellow realtors, and he also became the N-word lover. So, it was one of those things where everything that I had anticipated came about. And after I became a realtor, the next thing I had to do was to find a location for my office. And I found a location, and in doing so, I had to handle, I knew I had to do this, but I had to handle the lease of the building over the phone. And I did negotiate the lease over the phone. And then I had to go and sign the lease in person. And then when I did that, they decided that they were not going to rent the building to me. And I asked them, asked the man, why did he make that decision after, you know, all the time that we had over the phone? And he said, well, be honest with you, I'm afraid that if I lease the building to you, that my other tenants will move out.
Wow.
And I assured him that his tenants had been there for a while and they weren't going to move, because if they moved, then they would lose the business that they had accumulated there. And he said, well, let me think about it. And he thought about it and called me the next day and said he and his wife talked about it and decided that they were going to go ahead and lease me the building. He, in the long run, became one of my best clients after the relationship we had there. So the next thing I wanted to do was to become a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Became a member of the Chamber of Commerce. They had to come out and inspect your operation. Well, I did not want my business to be the typical real estate operation. The typical real estate operation in 1964 was desks lined up on each side of the wall, and they were metal desks and just a plain Jane looking place. And I wanted to have mine to look like a more professional office. So I hired a professional decorator to decorate my office. And in those days, decorating an office was kind of like a, you'd look at maybe red velvet drapes that tied back with clear white sheer drapes. When they came out and looked at it, they decided that I would not be a good tenant because, I mean, not be a good member because they thought that I was going to have a house of ill repute. I called my landlord at the time and told him about it. And he said, I'll take care of it. Next day I was approved for membership in the Chamber of Commerce based on his recommendation. So those are just a couple of the things, you know, that happened. From there, I built the largest real estate operation in the San Fernando Valley, which is the northern part of Los Angeles. I had 4 offices, about 80 agents. I had an escrow company, a mortgage company. About 1978, I decided that, you know, I've had enough. I wanted to do something different. So I sold all my companies separately. And then I took the money that I got from selling my companies, and I started buying land, and I started building houses and condominiums. And in 1980, I had 76 condominiums under construction. Interest was 11% when I borrowed the money.
Wow.
21% when I finished. And in those days, there was a loan called the wrap loan. You took the first and the second, and you wrapped them together, and you got an 18% interest rate instead of a 21% interest rate. So I was able to sell enough of my properties to pay off my construction loan, but I was broke. All my money was tied up in these units. And at that time, I thought it was absolutely terrible. But today it's not so bad because I still own half of them. And So I was broke. I decided that I would borrow some money from my dad, which I borrowed $30,000 from my dad, and I started a mortgage brokerage operation, turned it into a mortgage banking operation, and then I sold it to a publicly traded company located in Atlanta, Georgia. From there, I stayed with them for 2.5 years, and then I took. In those days, when you sold a company, you had to sell it, or most of the time you sold it for cash and for stock. So I sold my stock, took the cash, and I bought into a bank in Los Angeles, and I started up a mortgage operation for the bank. 10 years later, we sold the bank and to US Bank, and we all retired. Then I started another company called Quality Control Management Assurance Corporation, QCMAC, which was a quality control company for the mortgage industry. Took one of our bedrooms and made an office out of it. 10 years later, we were the third largest company in the country, and I sold it, and I retired again. And then a friend of mine called, who worked for his mother at the time when I first met him. And he had started a mortgage company in Las Vegas and wanted me to come and help him build the company. Here I am, retired, living at the beach. And he wanted me to move to the valley. I mean, to Las Vegas. And I did. I wasn't married, so I did it. And from that, we built the largest Hispanic company in the country.
Wow.
And I mentioned that I was board member. So part owner, we started, I wanted to do something for my people. I made my money based on the things that I've done for myself. And I wanted to, before I left, I wanted to be able to do something for my people. So I said I wanted to leave a legacy. So that's how Legacy Home Loans came about. And now Legacy is the largest Black-owned mortgage banking company in the country. We have offices throughout the United States, and everybody in the company looks just like us. And we try to go after perfection and be the most professional mortgage banking company that we can be.
Awesome. Love it. Now, going back to, for a minute, with you becoming the first Black Realtor, there must not have been a whole lot of people to look up to. What was that motivating factor? What was that thing? Was there something that you saw maybe in your community that you said, look, this is the industry that I want to go into?
No, my Jewish family they were real estate investors. So they knew the business, and they taught me the business. So they kind of led me in the direction that I needed to go. So it wasn't something that I just thought of and decided, oh, I want to be a realtor. But so they kind of guided me. So.
Awesome. Love it. Now going to Legacy Home Loans and the reason you started it. I've read up on the company, and I know your vision, your mission is really to lend to the Black community, the African-American community. Has there been any pushback from maybe other companies thinking maybe this is some form of reverse discrimination? Have you seen any of that?
Oh, absolutely. Matter of fact, yes, we came out with a new loan September 1. Actually, it takes place in what we're launching it October 17th. And we had a press release that went out, I think was around the 1st of September, and it went viral. And so far we're receiving approximately one, actually, we're receiving 3 phone calls every 2 minutes
Oh, wow.
for people that are interested in working with us. So we are just completely inundated and wasn't prepared. And we are, getting systems in place to handle that and let people know that we are very interested in working with them. And I'm just surprised and proud that we as a people are, want to work together. And that really works today. When I grew up, there was this thing called crabbing, where you'd have crabs in a barrel or a basket or whatever, and one tried to crawl out, the other one pull them back down. I haven't seen that since I started Legacy. I've seen only people that want to work with us and want to be involved with trying to make another company or another person of color successful.
Awesome. Now, when I look at the stats that NAR has put out for home ownership rates, and when I read things like the home ownership rate for 2020, for example, is worse off than it was back in the 60s. Does that give you a push, or does that kind of disappoint you in some way?
It motivates me. It motivates me to close the gap. And this is, matter of fact, our new program that I was speaking of that we are piloting is called Closing the Gap. And that program is a program that's 1% down. And we are opening that in 6 different cities: Atlanta, Baltimore, Chicago, Detroit, and Memphis and Philadelphia. Those are the 6 cities that we are opening. And we hope that if we can be successful within the first 6 or 7 months, that we'll start opening it up to other areas that have a population, that have census tracts that are populated with 51% or higher African-American population. But yes, and when that, even when the press release went viral, we had our compliance department received approximately 20 different emails and phone calls saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Or why can't you do, or why are you doing this for these people and you're not doing it for everybody? Yes.
Oh, I bet that, there are going to be a lot of companies looking at you and, definitely scrutinizing stuff.
Yeah.
But I just appreciate the efforts. I appreciate that we actually have someone who, really realized the need of the community. And I'm talking about the Black community, and really trying to do something active, because a lot of times we talk, we know there's an issue, but who's really stepping out to find a solution and to actively do something, for the community. So really, really thank you for the community, really and truly, thank you. One of the things I heard a little birdie told me is that you have these nuggets that you like to drop. I think you call them Slaytonisms. In closing, what is something that you could share with us here in Connecticut, my fellow realtors? What's something that you could really share with us to just motivate us? Because I'll be honest with you, Mr. Slayton, Connecticut is going through some kind of transition right now. And although, we've come a long way, we have a long way to go here in Connecticut. There's still a huge gap with African and Black home ownership in Connecticut. And we still have a lot of hurdles. Even in 2022, we still have to deal with things like redlining in the state, which is just sad, But just to motivate the realtors, especially the minority realtors in the state, what's something that you could really share with us to give us that hope?
Well, one of the Slaytonisms is it's not enough to know the answer to a problem. You have to know why the answer is the answer. If you ask someone a question of how to do something and they give you the answer, you don't know the background and why that answer is the answer. Once you know that answer, why the answer is the answer, then no one absolutely can fool you, none whatsoever. And because you are all in business, I'll give you one just for business, and that is you cannot make money in business until you don't need to make it.
Wow.
Okay. What that means is in order for your business to make money, you have to build your business to a point of break even, where your income and your expenses meet each other, and that you do not have to go to work. You don't have to go in that office every day, because you know that based on what you've done, that office is going to break even every month. Once you break even every month and it's sustainable, then you can sit back and strategize and know how to add other business to that business or increase that business so it becomes very successful. So you can't make money in business until you don't need to make it.
I love it. You cannot make money in business. Say it again.
You cannot make money in business until you don't need to make it.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And my hope is that, maybe sometime next year we invite you to the state so that, because I just think you are a wealth of knowledge. And I really think, with you in an actual room where we could just pick your brain and just, I could sit here and talk to you all day because, you just have so much wisdom to share. So again, I thank you for your time. This was great. Definitely will be supporting you in whatever you do, especially with this mortgage program. So again, thank you so much. I know you're busy. So again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching another episode of Views from Bridge. For any questions or comments, please send an email to GHAR@gharonline.com. Bye.